and welcome to our fourth and final installment of the Interlaced webinar series focused on strategies to help scale your startup. If you haven't met me before, I'm Mallory Randall, and with me today I have our IT user experience technician, Andrew Stai. The Beard, as sometimes we affectionately refer to him as. And Andrew's going to be talking to us today about scaling through automation. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. We really welcome and encourage you to ask as many questions as possible, especially on a topic like today. I know there is a lot of interest around this. So as we go, please feel free to pop any questions you have into the question and answer field. Kind of depending on how many there are, I might stop and ask Andrew some along the way, but then we most likely will kind of hold them till the end. Today's session is being recorded, and both the recording and the slide deck will be made available to you, and we'll get that emailed out either later today or tomorrow at the latest. And then finally, if you enjoyed this webinar, we hope that you stick around. We're going to be rolling out our next series of webinars starting in 2025. We'll be kicking off that in January. We're going to be focusing on security. So we will get that registration up and sent out to you. And we hope that you will join us when we have that ready to go. We'll also have others available throughout 2025, and we'll roll out those schedules in the next couple of weeks. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew. Andrew, take it away.
Cool. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Scaling Your Business Through Automation. My name is Andrew Stai, and in today's session, we'll explore how automation can transform your business, its benefits, its challenges, and how you can implement it effectively. Before we start, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Oh yeah, we've got this little bit. Who we are. We are startup IT experts that specialize in developing an IT program and technology stack that enables our clients and partners to grow with ease. Interlaced was founded just over 15 years ago as a small startup, and we've grown to currently serve several hundred organizations across the United States, with our home bases being in San Diego and Nashville. The content that we are going to be chatting through today is a direct result of the insights that we have garnered through the support we've provided to 1,000+ organizations over the years. So, automation. Let's get started. First, let's start by clarifying an often confused distinction: automation versus AI. Automation refers to using technology to perform routine tasks based on preset rules. It ensures consistency and efficiency without requiring human intervention. Think of it as a set it and let it run process. AI, or artificial intelligence, goes a step further. AI enables systems to learn from data and adapt their actions, simulating decision-making processes. Why is this distinction important? Because not every task requires AI. In fact, automation is often the simpler, cost-effective solution for many businesses. On the other hand, AI can enhance automation when decisions or insights are needed. With that distinction in mind, let's dive into why startups should embrace automation. Startups often operate with limited resources and time. Automation provides a few key benefits. It ensures accuracy. You're not wasting time trying to figure out, what went wrong. Manual processes are prone to errors. Automation ensures consistency, especially for data entry or repetitive calculations. Task and schedule management. Automation tools can handle routine scheduling, task management, and maintenance, freeing your resources to focus on high-value activities. So freeing up the resources by automating repetitive tasks, your team can channel their energy into creative, strategic, or customer-facing roles. A much better use for their time. But as we'll discuss later, automation must be applied wisely. It's not about replacing people, but empowering them. The risks and cautions of automation. Now, let's address the risks and common pitfalls that you'll find with automation. Attention to detail. Automation only works as well as the processes you define. If there's a flaw in your setup, it can amplify your errors. I've seen plenty of situations where an automation goes wrong, the client gets blasted with a bunch of emails. Nobody has fun there, because then you get, especially if they have an out-of-office message, old servers will go down with that. Not a replacement for human talent. Automation enhances productivity, but it doesn't replace critical thinking or creativity. You still need people to oversee, adapt, and interact with those automations. You can utilize AI tools to help with certain decision making and certain tasks, but having a human to oversee and adapt and interact with those automations is important. So human interactions remain vital. While tools like ChatGPT can help draft responses, customer-facing interactions should remain authentic and human-led. Use automation to assist your team, not to replace them. So now that we've covered why and when to automate, let's look at how to get started. The best way to implement automation is to follow a structured approach. So break down your processes. Start by analyzing your workflows, break them into tasks, and identify repetitive actions that can be automated. If you can't break it down, if you can't break it down into step-by-step situations and procedures, you can't effectively automate it. You'll end up with holes in your automation, you'll end up with missing steps, and someone will still have to step in and fill those gaps. Choosing the right tasks to automate. Not every task makes sense to automate. Engage stakeholders to prioritize tasks based on impact, efficiency, and return of investment. A healthy discussion is key. We have over here, we have regular conversations with our administration and our implementation teams to find out the tasks that we really need to automate and the ones that can wait for later. Starting small. Find an easy to replicate but time consuming task, something that takes a lot of resource time but is simple to perform. Oftentimes, you'll find that if you focus on the small items, you're going to build up to something bigger. We have over here, we've worked on automating on and off boards, starting with our lesser. We don't really service a lot of Office 365 people, so we decided to tackle that one first. We decided going with Office 365 and onboards there allowed us to see where we would falter with the greater population. That gave us some insights and actually built us a few workflows that we use for both Google and Microsoft. Continuous improvement. As your business evolves, revisit your automations. Ensure they align with current goals and connect with new systems. As you're adding new items to your tech stack, you want to make sure that those items can sync with your old items. And the first things you should usually ask are, is this something that can tie with my automation? I'm thinking of signing up for this new service and it's going to cost me a sizable pretty penny. What are the things I can utilize it with? Do I have any automation tools that could connect with this and allow me to automate it? So examples of automation tools. For things like task management, services like Asana, Roost, or Trello can be used for task automation, as well as a host of other tools that can connect your current services together. Roost is one of my favorite automation tools. Roost has a host of things that you can connect to it, and they're always growing their integrations. We have setups that allow us to just fill out a form, and it goes through and it automates our entire onboarding for a particular service. We've even built out situations where they don't have an integration with this particular tool, but we can build an API to connect to it. So then we're just sending a call and having the API do the work. So for marketing, MailChimp or HubSpot can be used for automated email campaigns and can track customer behavior and engagement. Those are old tools. Those have been around for a while, but they've adapted. They've added automation services to their roster. You'd be surprised at some of the tools you currently use today that could have automation availability to them. Customer support. Tools like Intercom or Zendesk can be used for chat automation, allowing your staff to spend less time drafting responses to clients. So Intercom and Zendesk has been around for a while as well. Zendesk is one of those things we all try to avoid canned messages in our ticketing systems. They sound, robotic. They sound kind of annoying when you get a bunch of these things, and they're not human. They're not coming from a human. They don't feel personal. Zendesk and things like ConnectWise can actually build in workflows that make them seem a little more personal. They extract data from the ticket and from the requester and any other company data to create a response. Tools like Roost can actually add tools like OpenAI and things to suggest responses to these tickets. So your technicians or whoever's responding to, whatever the ticket may be about will have 2, 3 different choices they can just copy, paste, and throw into the ticket, saving them some time. AI assisted tools. So that kind of leads into this. ChatGPT or Grammarly can be used to assist in drafting communications and improving efficiency. Um, Again, OpenAI and ChatGPT and things like that can be connected to tools like Roost, one of the reasons why it's my favorite, to create scenarios where you have a technician choosing from responses as opposed to writing their own and spending their time doing that. Remember, remember that the goal is to scale sustainably. Begin small, manageable implementations and grow from there. They stack on top of each other. When you start small, you see success and improvement right away. So to wrap up, automation can be a game changer, but only when applied thoughtfully by understanding the distinction between automation and AI. Identifying the right process to automate and ensuring continuous improvement, your business can scale efficiently without losing its human touch. Thanks for joining us today. We'll open up the floor for Q&A and feel free to ask your questions. I love them. I'll answer them as best as I can.
Thanks, Andrew. I think you get the award for the fastest webinar on deck for this
I
for
talk
this
quick.
quarter. You do, you do. Well, thank you. I know that was a lot of information. So a couple of questions that came in. So, you've emphasized during this like the importance of automating the right tasks. So, how should startups and businesses prioritize which processes to automate first? And then what criteria would you recommend that they use to avoid common pitfalls like automating low-key tasks or overly complex tasks?
So as I said earlier, you really want to start by looking at the applications you have and seeing if, I mean, startup culture, we're all kind of like pinching pennies. I've been there before. Start by looking at the applications you already utilize. See where you can automate within those tools. Research them. Reach out to your account manager with those tools or anything like that. You'll be surprised at how many of them actually have some form of automation already integrated and have been there for a little while. Um, I mean, scheduling an email is a form of automation. So things like QuickBooks and Salesforce for finance or Slack for communication, they all have automation tools. If you use Zendesk or ConnectWise, they have automation tools inside. Roost is another great option for connecting all of those things. And Roost comes with an account manager that can help you and lots of documentation on how to build things. Um, and you mentioned pitfalls. Remember to start small. Choose something easy to do, something that's time consuming, and build it from there. So if it's a repetitive task or something you're doing regularly, if it's, something that you have a team member that's spending 15 hours a week just collecting data and putting it in a spreadsheet, a lot of those things can be automated. And remind yourself that creating automation workflows takes an investment of time initially. And the more complex that workflow or that process is, the more time it'll take. So build yourself up to that. Get used to the platforms you're working in before you start committing to those high complex tasks.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've recently seen some organizations that have added automation tasks as sort of like the lowest rung of their organization charts now. Like things, for example, like in the marketing world, which I can speak to, things like competitive analyses that they'll do. Like that is something now that is like the lower, like a lower rung on the org chart of something that they automate and will continuously do, right? It's almost like a lot of these automation processes become the support system to the rest of the organization. And so I think like everything that you just said sort of like feeds back into that, which I think is very interesting. So another question that came up. So automation tools and processes need to evolve with business growth. Can you discuss best practices for startups to continuously monitor and refine their automated workflows to ensure some of the long-term relevance and effectiveness?
Monitor your metrics. Pay attention to how well the workflows are working for you. If it's a workflow that's annoying your clients or annoying your staff or just plain getting in the way, it became a waste. Don't fall for the sunken cost fallacy. If it's a workflow that wasn't worth it, you tried something, it was worth trying, you learned along the way, maybe turn it off for a while, or go back to the drawing board and refine it. With that, adding a new tool to your tech stack is an opportunity to revisit workflows that you may have tried in the past and they failed. You should always be looking what those new tools can do within your workflow tech stack. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're, 3, 4 months, 6 months down the line with a few new tools and realize that you've been wasting a lot of time that you could have just added that tool into this turned off workflow and saved a butt ton of time. You've got tools, you've got services, you've got workflows, you've spent time on them. Don't waste it.
You talk about metrics, and I know we have a bullet point on this slide here. So you talk about like time saved, error rates, process efficiency. Is there anything else that you would include in there for things to be looking at? I know like KPIs and success metrics are always the top of everyone's mind. So is there anything else like quantifiable that you would look at?
Talk to your clients. When you have meetings with your clients, bring up, hey, we've got a few things that have been automated. Have you noticed anything about them? Are they bothering you? Be transparent. Everyone knows that automation is a big deal these days. Don't hide it. Make sure that they understand that everything has a very human connection, but talk to your clients, talk to your administration. See, the conversation, the discussion is key. And as you grow, you're going to have people, as you get bigger, you're going to want to hire someone who maintains and pays attention to these workflows, and ask them to pay attention to the things they're seeing as well. Keep them involved with the discussion because they may come up with insights that could help resolve any of the issues you're seeing.
Gotcha. We talked about some of these examples already, but are there any other examples of tools that businesses should consider to help them with automation? And maybe we can break down a few more by vertical. Like you mentioned HubSpot for, or MailChimp for email, QuickBooks. I never would have thought QuickBooks from an automation standpoint. Are there any others that you would recommend for people to look at?
Of the most common tools that I see out there, things like Salesforce, HubSpot, MailChimp, those all have some hidden automation tools. Zendesk, Freshdesk, those ticketing systems as well. Um, Monday.com, I know, is an automation setup. Asana has things. I mean, there's tools like Rippling and stuff that can help automate onboardings. Um, Grammarly could be utilized. There's quite a lot out there. Again, just read through your tech stack and ask the question, do you have automation?
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you so much today. I know that was sort of a high level of something that's very, very complicated, but hopefully this will help all of us get started with using automation within our startups. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. Andrew, can you go to the next slide or the final slide? So if you want to connect with Andrew, this was actually supposed to be my last question for you. If you would like to connect with Andrew, this is his LinkedIn. So please feel free to reach out to Andrew with any questions that you may have. Also, feel free to reach out to Interlaced. We're happy to discuss with you about automations and how you can incorporate that into your workflows as well. Thank you so much for your time today, everyone, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.